All right, let's get right into it. We're breaking down a framework for commanding respect. And I mean real respect. The kind you earn the second you walk into a room. Not the kind you have to ask for.
So, let me ask you something. When you walk into a room, are you respected or are you kind of dismissed? It's a tough question, but it's the one that matters. And here's the crazy part. The answer to that question is decided like almost immediately. Yep, we're talking about the first 5 seconds. That's it. Before a single word comes out of your mouth, people have already sized you up. It's all about your energy, your presence, how you hold yourself. They're reading you like a book. So the real question is, how do you become the author of that first impression?
Okay, so let's start with the absolute foundation, your presence. The first couple of rules here are all about what you're saying before you say anything. And trust me, that nonverbal stuff, it often shouts way louder than your words ever will.
All right, rule number 1 is to own the room. Think about it. When you walk into a party or a meeting, what's your first move? Do you kind of hug the walls and try to disappear? Or do you walk toward the center? See, shrinking to the sides, rushing, looking hesitant, those are all signals that you feel like you don't belong. But the person who moves slowly, deliberately, right through the middle, they're sending a totally different message. They're saying, I'm supposed to be here, and that automatically pulls everyone's focus. So, how do you actually do this? It's pretty simple, really. 3 steps. 1. You walk in boldly, like you've been there a million times. 2, and this one is the game changer, you pause, just for a second. That little bit of silence, it's a vacuum, and it sucks all the attention in the room right onto you. And then, step 3, only then, do you speak. When you've got everyone's focus, your words suddenly have weight. They land with real impact. Okay, rule 2, your body language, specifically your eyes. You know how eye contact is tricky, right? Stare too little, you look weak. Stare too much, you look, well, a little intense. The magic number seems to be about 70% of the time. But here's the pro tip. When you do look away, never look down. Looking down is a submissive gesture. Look to the side. It makes you look thoughtful, like you're considering something important. Big difference.
And that leads to this idea. Good communication is like good martial arts. I really love this because it's so true. It's not just about what you say. It's a skill, a discipline. Every move, every pause, every look, it's all intentional. It's about control and precision.
All right, so we've got the nonverbal stuff down. You're owning the room, your eye contact is on point. Now it's time to open your mouth. Let's get into the art of verbal control, because this is where you can really steer the ship. Rule 3 is all about your tone, and the metaphor here is perfect. Are you a wild soldier or a sniper? You know the wild soldier. They're shouting, talking too fast, rambling, just spraying bullets everywhere. It wastes ammo and just shows they're panicked. The sniper, though, they're calm. They wait. They take one shot, and it hits the target. That's what your voice should be, precise, controlled, and effective. That's what sounds like strength.
Now, get ready for this next number, because it's huge. 95%. That's the percentage of people who feel like they don't matter because nobody really listens to them. Think about that. Almost every single person you interact with is just dying to be heard. And if you understand that, well, that's a superpower.
And that's why rule 4 is that questions are your most dangerous weapon. Seriously, when you ask good questions, you're doing a few things at once. First, you're making that person feel valued. You're filling that 95% need, but you're also taking control. See, the person asking the questions is the one driving the conversation. You get to find out what they're really thinking, you can diffuse tension, and you lead the whole interaction without ever having to raise your voice.
This leads us right into Rule 5, which is a big one, frame control. Okay, what is that? Imagine every conversation is a picture frame. Whoever defines the subject of the picture is in control. So if someone accuses you of something and you immediately start defending yourself, boom, you've just jumped right into their frame. The conversation is now about you being guilty. Frame control is the art of saying, nope, I'm not playing in your sandbox, and then building your own and making them come play in it.
And here's a perfect way to do it. Let's say someone says, that idea will never work. Your instinct is to argue, right? To say, yes, it will. Instead, try this. That's a bold claim. Walk me through how you got to that. See what you did there? You didn't argue, you flipped it. Now they have to do the work. They have to justify themselves to you. It's a complete power shift.
Okay, so your presence is solid, your verbal game is strong. What's next? This is the next level. We're moving beyond just tactics and arguments. We're talking about leading through story.
Rule 6 is about understanding the difference between facts and metaphors. Look,
Facts are fine. They speak to the logical part of the brain. But they're boring. They're forgettable. Stories and metaphors, on the other hand, they go straight for the heart. They create a picture in someone's mind, an emotion. And that's what people remember. That's what moves them to action. Leaders don't just give you a spreadsheet. They give you a vision.
Just look at this example. You could say, our Q3 numbers are lagging, we need to increase productivity. Or you could say, this project is like a train leaving the station. Either we're on board or we miss it. Which one makes you want to move? The second one, right? You can almost feel the train pulling away. That's the power of narrative. It creates urgency and emotion in a way numbers never can.
So we've covered a lot. These are all incredibly powerful tools. But that's all they are, just tools. And without this last rule, this final pillar, they're empty. They're just techniques. This last one is the foundation that holds it all up.
Be honorable. That's it. That's rule number 7. Because without this, everything else we just talked about, it's just manipulation. It's a bag of tricks. The respect you might get from it will be paper thin, and it will not last. So what does it mean to be honorable? It means your word is a contract. It means you have a mission, something you stand for that's bigger than just you. It means you're generous, not just with money, but with your time and your trust. You don't play little games for small wins. You're trying to lead people to a better place. That is the kind of character that earns real, deep, lasting respect, the kind you can't fake.
So when you put it all together, you realize these rules aren't just about changing how people see you, they're about changing who you are. In the end, respect is just a mirror. It's a reflection of the character you're putting out there. So, the only real question is, what are you going to reflect?